Good morning. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the morning stream. We have Tesla this morning looking pretty good. WKHS Workhorse is really popping up this morning and starting to trend on Wall Street bets, getting up to that $18 high of yesterday. And sitting here right at open, we're seeing some pretty good momentum initially out of Workhorse here.
Yeah, you can't complain. I mean, we had the market breaking all-time highs again. You look at the SPY, it's ripping
Good
up there.
morning.
We had
What's
the
going on,
QQQ
guys?
popping
Welcome
up
to the
too.
morning stream.
Apple's trending up nicely. And like you said, Workhorse is trending in the right direction. So you definitely can't complain looking at the market this morning. Overall, it looks pretty solid. I'm not sure if you guys saw the news with bank stocks yet, but a lot of them are also popping up after a pretty bad past couple weeks. A lot of them doubled, or not necessarily doubled, but they increased their dividend and then their share buyback. So overall, it's just good for bank stocks. But thank you, Keisha, Hunter, Rad, Tim, T, Vicky, Russ, and Justin. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream. You guys know the drill. If you guys have some stocks you guys want covered, just drop them in the live chat section. But, the main stock I'm looking at heading into the market this morning, Tom, is Workhorse. I know you already covered it, and I know Tim mentioned that it is trending on Reddit, which is, for the most part, a really good sign. So I think it has a lot of potential, and it's definitely to be on my watch list.
Yeah, mine too. It's getting really close to that high of yesterday also. And right here at open, it had a pretty big extension somewhere up towards that $18 area, hitting around 17.95. So definitely we'll have this one on the radar today just to see if we can pass above that $18 resistance. And if we do, I think we'll start to see a pretty big move. I know yesterday PLTR was right around a resistance kind of like this as well. And it looks like they're kind of moving to the downside off of that. So I still have Palantir on my watch list as well, waiting for them to break above 27.50. But it looks like they're actually catching quite a bit of red here at open. But who knows? They might hold some of these SMAs and maybe hold this support right around like 27.20.
Gotcha. What would be nice is to see, some of these airlines come up too. And then I was also even looking at BABA. I know that they had such an amazing day on Friday where it's just kind of like pulling back a little bit right now. But, if we see like a nice pullback, honestly, I might look to, double dip on some calls.
Yeah, for sure. I would not blame you. Baba's been really hot, and if like you're right, if it starts to come down to support, maybe around like 220 or maybe even 222, I think we could start to see a pretty good turnaround out of their stock. And man, they did. They had a great like past week. Like last week was awesome for them, running up on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, having just a few green days in a row, looking pretty solid. And we all know they had that big pop on Friday where it looked fantastic and just failed to break out above that 230 resistance. So definitely look forward to maybe hit that 220 support or maybe somewhere around like 219.
Tom, I think you have to switch the screen over. We're stuck on the starting soon.
Oh man, we are stuck on the starting soon. Sorry about that. That's definitely on me, guys. But wow, yeah, that was a bad one. But yeah, let's go look at AMC actually popping up today, up 4.7%. I gotta change the subject now, Mike.
Yeah,
But
change the subject.
AMC's up 4.7%, looking pretty good so far today on its own right.
For sure, for sure. So, yeah, I know you already mentioned this, but Palantir is also on my radar. VIAC, I know it's popping down a little bit right now, but I still like the setup in general. Zoom, I've been talking about this stock for quite some time now, and I'm definitely a huge fan of it. Charlie Munger actually went on CNBC recently and said that he's a fan of the stock. So, that doesn't mean, take it however you want. But either way, he's done a lot of great things in the investing world. And, it's always good to have him say, good things about the stock. So that's another plus right there.
Charlie was talking about Zoom.
Charlie Munger. So,
yeah, the guy who works with Buffett, right?
Yep.
Okay, wow, that's pretty big.
Yeah, for sure. And, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to explode up to $600 or anything, but, it's good news and I'll definitely take it. I feel like either way, it'll definitely bring in some positive momentum. Looks like at open, we have AMC popping up a good amount, Tom. I don't know how we missed this one. It's actually getting pretty close to that $61 resistance again.
Yeah, for sure. And it moved up through that $60 area this morning. So hopefully we can see a good pop out of AMC. It was looking pretty solid yesterday as well. And, we've just failed to break out of this level for like the past few weeks. And it's just been consolidating and kind of waiting here. So hopefully we can start to see another pop. I know a lot of people have been kind of like waiting for the move to happen, and hopefully it starts to happen soon, or else we might start to see a sell off. I know it was getting a little scary a couple of days ago, and I thought it was going to keep going down, but seems like AMC just keeps proving me wrong and just keeps having that resurgence back to the upside. And honestly, looks like it could be in a decent setup if it can just start to finally move out of these levels.
Alrighty, and then I feel like a lot of people are going to like the sound of this. Mara and Riot are starting to pop up again. I know everyone was, really, really trading them a couple months ago when Bitcoin was going crazy, but they are trending up again, which is good. Just one thing to keep in mind is that their options are relatively expensive, so just be a little careful there. And then another stock that's been kind of popping up under the radar is Coinbase is starting to do pretty well too, and it's up. It had a really good day yesterday, and it's already up around 3.5% today.
Yeah, that's actually looking really good. I know Coinbase was popping up yesterday, and man, Coinbase has been really consolidating down here around this 225 support. Kind of had a double bottom down there around like 212, 210-ish area. Definitely looks like a pretty solid setup. And yesterday, personally, it looked like it was going to keep continuing today, kind of like what we're seeing. But in the end, there could be a lot more movement, maybe up to this like $300 resistance level again out of coin, especially if we start to see Bitcoin, Mara, and Riot start to turn around even more. It'll look really good for coin, I think, as well. And coin had a terrible IPO. They came all the way down to that pre-IPO price around 200 to 250, and man, that's it's just pretty crazy that it hit like right between that area that everybody was kind of thinking it would.
Yeah, we have a couple people talking about NIO, Keisha, and Russ, and this one's really popping too. Like it's also one of those powerhouse stocks. I know it had a crazy past year, and it pulled back a good amount, just like all the other growth stocks did. But this one was up like 9 or 10% yesterday, and it's up just under 2% today. So it's running up. It has potential. It's ran a lot in the past, and I like them for the long term. So definitely keep your eyes on this one.
Yeah, it looks good in the long term and the short term, I think, right now. We're getting a lot of momentum. We are getting up to some resistance levels, but it's looking very good. I think that we still have up to around $52 before you'll start to see some big resistance out of it. And we already passed above 50, which is a good sign. And honestly, NIO just looks like an awesome breakout trade above those highs of yesterday. And I'm not sure you're going to be able to catch it too much more right now. If it has another 10% like yesterday, yeah, you're going to catch a nice move. But it just depends if we see like a big move like that or not. But as of right now, it has a ton of momentum and looks solid.
Yeah, and then we have Jerry saying, how are SPY puts looking? So, Jerry, I know that you're a big guy when it comes to unusual options activity and sweeps and stuff like that. And I'm not sure if you saw the video from this Friday about the biggest unusual options trade I have ever seen. It was like $4.5 billion. I had to do the math a couple times to make sure I was calculating it correctly. But long story short, some institution put 4.5 billion into the SPX 3000 strike calls, and they bought basically at like the bottom a couple weeks ago, and ever since they bought, the SPY has been rocketing up. So, and they're still holding. So like I wouldn't buy. I mean maybe if you wanted to scalp SPY puts, it could work, but I don't know. It's hard to bet against this type of smart money, and then especially to see the market go straight up right after they buy. So personally, I don't think it's worth the risk right now unless it's like a really really quick scalp. And then we had Vicky saying, "What's the better setup for swing trading, CRM or Teledoc?" So let's check it out: CRM or TDOC. CRM doesn't look bad. Let me look at TDOC. I would say TDOC. I feel like it has more potential, and then it's more in like a recovery phase. And then CRM, it's having a really hard time breaking out, and it's just kind of like in like a choppy range. Maybe if we see a breakout right above, you could say like 247.50 on CRM, that would be really, really solid. So I like that level for CRM. TDOC, it looks like better for like a swing now, you can say, as long as they don't get screwed over by this 170, you say like 180 resistance. So yeah, what do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I think that Teledoc looks maybe a little bit better like in the very short term. Like it's definitely a powerhouse. It's been going straight up ever since that May 11th, like turnaround day for all those growth stocks. And that's honestly pretty good. Teladoc's looking awesome, but CRM's been good for the long run. I think that they'll be a little bit better and a safer stock than Teladoc, but TDOC is going to be pretty solid, I think, in the long run as well. And honestly, I like them both, but in the short term, definitely, I think Teladoc has a lot better movement. And it seems like Teladoc's getting close to that 172.36 level, the high of yesterday. And if they can start to break out above that, I think we'll see pretty good movement.
Sounds good. And then let's see, we have Russ saying Tilray's coming back. These MJ stocks drive me crazy. We have Tilray explode up yesterday, which is awesome. And then it's going crazy in pre-market. At open, it just has I don't want to say a giant like crash, but it had a decent sized sell off. And then it comes right back up and it goes to 19. And now it's struggling there. So it's just so much like choppy movement. It drives me crazy. But overall, I like Tilray. I think it has a lot of potential. In this one, it does have a lot of potential. Like we've seen a couple months ago, these MJ stocks went crazy. Like Tilray went from what was it, like $20 up to like almost 70. So like either way, it's on my radar, and I like the setup.
Yeah, I like all the marijuana stocks right now. Also, it seems like they've all been kind of beaten down over like the past few months. And I know that was the news. They all ended up falling right there on that news where Biden started firing the people in his cabinet and stuff like that who had used marijuana in the past. And normally people just lie on their applications and put down that they've never used it, but they thought it was going to be okay because it was Biden, but it ended up not being okay. So
Yeah.
they ended up getting canned. And honestly, it hurt the marijuana stocks. It had me a little angry at the time, but yeah, they came flying back down. Tilray, CGC, CRON even. But honestly, they all look pretty good for like maybe a longer term swing, like a big dip buy. I think they look like pretty good pickups, especially for shares. I think if you can hold that for the long run or sell some puts or get like longer term leaps, it's a great option to do that right now on some of these stocks. And I just really like the setups. And it's funny how you bring up Tilray with the crazy movement, Mike, because man, that stock is volatile.
Oh yeah, and some other ones that kind of move in sympathy with it would be like CGC. You could do APHA, or this one actually stopped. You could do like PLNHF, CRON, ACB. What are some other ones? Tilray. Those are the major ones. You could also do like the MJ ETF, which is just a bunch of them all together. But then with the next comment, we have Tim saying SOFI looks like it could move more. So, Jerry, I've been seeing a ton of flow with this one, and it's very, very confusing. Like, it's a lot of really deep in the money calls, but then I was monitoring the flow, and it looks like they were like exercising some of the calls early, and I don't know, it was just kind of a mess. So, I'm just going to be neutral on it right now. There's a lot of big money trading this right now, but I can't fully decipher if they're necessarily long or short, or if they're covering or what they're doing. So I'm just going to stay neutral.
Yeah, for sure. I would be more neutral too. And the setup right now just looks a little crazy. I'll say like it definitely looked good if you could have like bought like an intraday dip buy or something a couple days ago and caught this big run up. But right now, or yesterday that actually was, but it's not looking the best, I don't think, today. We're just seeing that downwards movement, and it kind of came like right up to that resistance level. So I would just be a little careful with it. But we are starting to see a turnaround with tech today. We have Apple starting to run back up, and the QQQ is pushing up to those all-time highs once again.
Love to see it. Then we have Gerard saying thoughts on Square. Broke above 250. Let's check it out. SQ 250. Yeah, it's sitting right around there right now. I like it. I do like it for the long term, but like for a very short term trade, personally, I think it's a little bit overextended. And I don't think it's too bad. It's just a little bit overextended for like my risk analysis, you can say. So for that reason, I like it. It's just I'm not going to play it.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I think Square looks awesome though, and even like in the short term, I think it could still run up a little bit, but it's getting so close to those resistances. And like you said, it is having a little bit of weird movement, you could say. Like, it's moving a lot at open, and then it likes to consolidate for like the rest of the day. It's done that actually over the past few days at open. You can see it fly up and then just consolidate for the rest of the day. And sometimes we see stocks like Apple or some other ones that that kind of like to run throughout the day. And it's just, Square is just one of those stocks that just moves pretty volatile. So, for example, they had that big pop this morning up to 252, but the chances of them breaking that today are fairly low, I'd say.
Alrighty. Looks like we have Baba definitely holding its ground, which is what I like to see. I'm really looking at this one. Like, if it falls off more, or like, I don't know, just depending on the movement, like I'm definitely eyeing this one out for some calls. I think it has a lot of potential. And I think it just had such a huge day on Friday where it's just kind of like stunned right now and it's pulling back just a little bit. But it's definitely holding its ground and I definitely like it. Then we have Corbin saying the Fastly 60 strike calls for July 2nd. Maybe I should cut my losses. Lots of red on Airbnb too. So let's check it out. Fastly, yeah, I mean, you are in the money, which is good. If we look at the chart, I mean, it's not bad. Like, it's definitely holding its ground. Not sure how much you paid for those calls, but the biggest thing is that it's a weekly, so the time decay will be brutal. Like that's like, especially with options trading, like it's so important to get time. And I'm also monitoring the Fastly chain right now, and it looks like there was a decent amount of I mean, not call activity, but a good amount of open interest on some of these calls. I'm analyzing it right now, so it doesn't look bad. It definitely doesn't look bad. It's just a weekly, which can really screw you over. And then he also said Airbnb. I've been watching this one for months, Tom, and it won't break out.
Yeah, it's just failing to just kind of move. And we can even see on my 90-day, 15-minute chart here how flat it's kind of been over the past month, just staying between this range of like 145 and like 155. So really just kind of crazy. It's right in the middle of that range right now. It kind of looks like it's turning off back to the downside as well. It's been holding this red 1000 SMA though quite a bit, and we're like right on that today. So who knows? We might start to see a big move down through that, or we might hold it and start to move back up. But I would say that, in the longer run, I could see Airbnb moving back up, but it just depends on how much consolidation you can have in the short term. Because whenever you sit here for a month like this, it definitely, like whenever you're holding options, it definitely is not a good, not good movement to say the least. It definitely it makes that option decay pretty quick.
Cool, cool. Then we have Rad saying Apple hit 135, so it's breaking out right now. Tom, looks pretty decent. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, looking really good. Hopefully, can break above that high of yesterday. We're sitting there right now, like you said, Mike, and it looks like we are breaking out above that. Hopefully, we can see a big run out of Apple today. We saw that little dip it open, and we saw it hold those levels and start to fly back up. So definitely we'll be monitoring it today, but so far so good with Apple, and I like the breakout above that high. So hopefully we can keep moving, maybe up to like 135.50 or at the higher end, maybe 136.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Then with the next comment, well, we have David and Carlos joining the stream. Good morning, guys. James, too. There we go. So we have James saying, good morning, guys. Clove is moving. CLOV. How's this one doing, Tom? I know it had quite a lot of hype. What was it, like a month ago or so? And it looks like it's just like lingering right around those lows.
Yeah, it is actually. It's just lingering around there, kind of bounced off that like 1260-ish area. Use it almost as a support, and we're moving above that like $13 area now as we speak, and it definitely has a lot of momentum today. Over the past couple of weeks, this stock has gotten destroyed. It had a nice like run up there, but man, it came down as quick as it went up, and it definitely had like a short squeeze setup / potential to it. And right now, it kind of looks like it's consolidating, and I would not be surprised if we saw it start to pop over the next couple of days, especially if all these hype stocks start going up again, kind of like what we're seeing with AMC and a few others today.
For sure. And I'm just trying to see what's moving. It looks like Coin is having a pretty nice pop up. I like the way it's looking right now. It's up 5% today. They had a pretty solid day yesterday. I've been selling puts on this one every now and then. But yeah, I think it's just good to see it popping up. Let me check in on Bitcoin, see how that's doing. Give me a second.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, let's go check it out. /BTC on the futures here. And man, on the 15 minutes, it's looking pretty good. It's curving up today very nicely. No wonder Mara and Riot are starting to fly up like they are. And on the 1 year daily, I'll be honest, it looks like a pretty good bounce off that like 30,000-ish support. It actually went a little bit lower and hit that bottom of like a let's see, what day is this? January 22nd of 2021. So January 22nd of this year, Bitcoin posted a low that we kind of hit off of on, let's see, June 22nd. So just a few days ago, and we started that trend back to the upside. Looks very nice. And honestly, I would say that this is a pretty good dip buy. And like, let's say I was looking at a stock, if this was like Zoom or Palantir or something, I would definitely be picking it up down here. So I really like the setup, honestly, right now out of Bitcoin and a lot of these cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, Bitcoin's popping up right now. It looks good in general. I think it's good to see Coinbase finally getting some love and moving up. With the next comment, we have Jorge saying, "Hey, Mike and Tom, do you guys like FLGT for the long term? I took a look at their balance sheet some time ago and was impressed. And technically, now they seem to be covering well. What's your opinion on this one?" So let's check it out. He said FLGT. I have never heard of this company, and it looks like they have been doing pretty well actually on this on the chart. I don't know anything about them, to be honest with you. Their chart does look good, but I have no idea like how the company works. So
Yeah, it
they
says
do
that
have
it's a genetic stock, and I wonder if it has something to do with like genomics or something. Like I'm
yeah.
actually gonna check really quick to see if it's in like the ARKG ETF.
Yeah, definitely let me know if it's in that ARC ETF. Looking at their chart, they do have support at $70, and then they have resistance right at like 115 or so, and then another resistance right at 120. So it is bouncing up, and the chart looks good. I just haven't looked at their fundamentals, and then if they are in the ARC ETF, that would be a good sign. But even if they're not, that doesn't mean that they're bad. So yeah, let us know, Tom, what you find out with that ARC fund.
Yeah, it looks like they're actually not in that genomics one, so I would assume that they're not, that they don't do genomics, but I haven't looked into it too much. But honestly, like you said, the chart looks similar to like a setup almost like a Palantir or Zoom or something similar to the sorts.
Yeah, in a way, I can definitely see it. Just want to do a check in on the market right now. It's lingering right around that all time high. QQQ doing pretty good. We're even seeing the Dow do good today. Finally, the bank stocks are slowly dragging it up. It's been taking forever to get the Dow to move, but we're in that rotation. I know we've been talking about this for a while. A rotation into tech and out of value stocks. In we saw the exact opposite thing happen a couple months ago. These tech stocks were just getting hammered every single day, and then we have like bank stocks exploding up. So personally, I'm happy to see that rotation into tech. I think there's a lot more opportunity when this happens in general. So I'm glad to see it. We have Tilray popping back up. Definitely like this one. It is getting pretty close to that resistance, right around 1914. We're double topping right now. If we break above that, should be pretty solid.
Yeah, it actually looks like a really good move with Tilray right now. Some of these marijuana stocks look like they are primed for a pretty big move. I really hope we see this, and there we go. We just broke out above that high of yesterday. I think we'll see a pretty big move here with that break. And looking on the daily, there's definitely a lot of room back to the upside. Like Mike's pointed out in the past, it's not we might not hit $67 again or something, but it definitely has a lot of potential to go up. And I would say like in the like next couple months, I think we could target somewhere around 30 pretty safely.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say too safely, but I can definitely see it happening. Tilray's popping up. I like the way it's moving. Let's see what else we have moving. QS a little bit. Plug. Home Depot. How's Workhorse doing? I know it had a lot of momentum at open.
Yeah, it's actually just failing to break out, just kind of slowed down a little bit, but it's still looking decent. It held a lot of those levels that it's been sitting on, like the 17 support and everything like that. So it's looking pretty good. It's just failing to break out above that $18 resistance. But with this green candle coming back to the upside right now, we might come back up and retest that. So we might start to see more movement here in the next few minutes.
Sounds good. And then we have Toby saying AUUD. Let's check it out. AUUD. So I have not heard about this one, but it is really running almost up 50% on the day. We don't really trade penny stocks, but it has momentum, and it could be good for like a scalp or something like that. It's breaking out our resistance rate at $9, some support at $8. The all-time high is 915, so definitely watch that. I've noticed that it really hasn't had much volume. You look in the past couple days, it had a lot, but before that, it wasn't too active, I guess you can say. The past couple days have been crazy though. 40 million shares, and then what is that? 40 and then 55 million shares traded already today. So I'm not sure why it's running. This is the first time I heard of this stock, but it has a lot of momentum.
Yeah, it's the first time I've heard of it also, but great movement to see with this one. I think we're getting a little bit late to the game here with this one, though. Not that it can't keep going. I've seen weird stocks like TOPS go from 10 cents up to $100. So, anything can happen, but it could definitely be a crazy scenario if it keeps going. Like, who knows how high this thing could run? Maybe up above $10 or something like that. But honestly, I think that we're just a little bit late to the move now. I think it would have been better to get it maybe like a couple days ago, obviously, or maybe like on the way up, I should say. I just think we're getting a little high. Not that it's bad for like a quick trade or anything or a quick scalp, but in the shorter term, I would definitely be very careful with it.
All right, then we have Matthew asking about the DAX, the German 30. So it's pulling back a little bit. I don't love the setup right now. It looks like it's weird to give like support and resistance levels on it because it's just like an ETF and it's not very liquid. So the best I can really say is it's pulling back a little bit right now. Overall, it's trending in the right direction though.
Yeah, it is. It looks like it's trending in the right direction. It almost reminds me of like the Dow, or something like that, honestly. And I think that that's what the DAX would follow more of in the US market than anything else. And if we go look at like we're looking at the DAX now, let's go check out the DIA. It kind of had like a little a pretty sharp pullback kind of as well. So it seems pretty similar, but obviously they're two totally different entities. But I would say in the longer run it'll be okay, but in the short term, I think we'll start to see more of a pullback again.
All right, then we have Vicky saying AMD, please. It looks pretty good, Tom. What are you thinking?
Yeah, look at that. Nice green candle on AMD, looking very solid, breaking out above that $88 resistance of yesterday, starting to run right now. Honestly, I really like the move, Mike. I think that we could start to see another big pop here, maybe up to like $89 or $90. I'm not saying that we're going to, go parabolic or anything with AMD, but I think we could see a solid move maybe up to resistance.
I like it. Then we have Craig saying thoughts on JMIA. It looks good. I like the setup. It's like a nice dip buy right now. And, I'm a huge, huge fan of Zoom. And they have recovered a good amount already. They went from, what is it, like 280 up to almost 390 over like the past month or so. You could look at a lot of other stocks, Palantir, Neo especially. It rallied so much back to the upside, but JMIA, it really hasn't had a huge recovery just yet. So I do like it, and I feel like we can see a nice rally over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that we'll eventually see this stock start to break out. It's just going to be when, and who knows, they might have to post like good earnings or have a great catalyst to start flying up. They are like the Amazon of Africa, so I wonder if they're going to have like a special Prime Day over there or something. So I don't know,
Yeah,
just thinking of any type of catalyst that they could have, but
true.
definitely I think that if they start getting like good sales and if their EPS starts to go positive, like down here on their earnings, they're still kind of actually negative. So once this actually turns around, I think that you'll start to see a pretty big rise.
Alrighty, and then we have Click saying Intel is falling too hard. Man, Intel's getting smacked today.
Yeah,
Down
it's
around
actually hitting that resistance really hard.
Yeah, down 2.5% already. Bouncing off that 56 support. It doesn't have momentum. And what worries me a little bit is, we have the Nasdaq, the tech index, at all-time highs, and a ton of tech stocks have a lot of momentum, and Intel is just doing nothing. They're getting smacks. So
Yeah,
I
Intel's
definitely
gonna
have.
have to come up with some new technology or, or something to turn them around, I think, over the next few years.
I don't like the setup right now. It doesn't look good to me. Gerard says I am liking Baidu and Baba for some longs. I like it too. I like Baba a lot. I've been looking to potentially get calls on this one, or even shares for the long term.
Yeah, I think Baba looks really good. Buying it down here at support is always going to be decent, and I think it'll be good. It just depends like what China keeps doing to them. So, but in the longer run, I think they'll be awesome.
Sounds good. Tilray moving. Let's see what else we have moving. Yeah, I really like the way Tilray's moving. Now it's up 3%. What about Palantir, though? I know it's been doing pretty well. It's pulling back a little bit right now, down around 1%. What are you thinking with this one?
Yeah, so far just failing to break out of that 2750 resistance. And man, that resistance looked like it was going to get broken today finally. And once again, we hit off of it back to the downside. So we'll have to see how it can start going with Palantir. I'm getting a little bit worried. A lot of these growth stocks are getting up to these resistances and kind of like hitting them and failing to break through. And I'm just, they've been going pretty much straight up since May 11th, and I'm kind of wondering if we're going to see some consolidation or maybe some move back down to like the 25 support or something like that. But if we start to see a continued breakout here above 2750, then I think that we'll see some amazing movement. But I think it's just going to depend on what ends up happening with this. But the good news is that we're seeing all the regular like tech stocks going up today, like we're seeing like Apple and Enphase and a lot of those like type of stocks rising up. So it's not that like, tech is necessarily selling off or anything. Just some of these growth stocks are hitting their resistances. And I think it'll just take a couple of days to get through there.
Gotcha. Then we have Hunter saying Palantir needs to slow down a tad or I'll lose my shares. And, I know Hunter is messing with some covered calls on it. And I think that's a really smart move. And I'm glad it is pulling back just a little bit, because even when you do, like, let's say you're holding shares, like everyone loves the green days, but, when you have like, what, like 10 or 15 green days in a row, like something's normally like causing that, and it doesn't always end up too good. So it's good to have it pull back a little bit, and especially if you're holding those covered calls. We have Sean saying hopefully Nvidia consolidates here. I really want to see it over 800. Sean, you've been saying Nvidia is going to pop every day, and it does. I'm like, it's a little bit overextended, and it just keeps exploding up. It's definitely a powerhouse, and who knows with this one, especially with that split news.
Yeah, I love Nvidia. It keeps rising up. I think 800 might be around the highs for it, for in the shorter term, anyways. I think that we might start to see some downwards movement here. You could prove me wrong, but earlier, it was at like 700. I thought maybe we could hit like 750 or 8. Looks like we did get there. It's just the question can this really continue all the way till July 20th? We're still 20 trading days away. Are we still going to be seeing, constant 3% green days or just constant big moves out of Nvidia till that split date? I would think that we have to consolidate for like a week or maybe a couple weeks, and then right before the split we might see another like big rise up or something like that. That's just my opinion. Obviously, nobody can call the top or the bottom on Nvidia here, but definitely going to be a crazy mover as we head into that split. And I would think that in the shorter term we'd have to slow down eventually, but it seems like it just never happens.
What do you think about Snap? It's running up out of nowhere.
Snapchat. Let's check it out. SNAP Snapchat. Wow, that's actually a pretty big intraday move. It's actually right at that $68 resistance that it's been at for like the past few days. But wow, that's a pretty big move intraday today from 66 up to there, and I really like it actually. I'm not sure it's going to continue right now. It looks like it has a lot of potential to though, and man, I know Snapchat's been killing it on the daily chart as well, looking so solid. And honestly, the daily looks really good. If we could start to see like another green day tomorrow up towards like $70, I think that the setup will be pretty good.
Sounds good. And then we have AMD moving up too. SPCE selling off, Tom. They're breaking below that support right at 52.
No, not SPCE,
Yeah.
not going down,
Yeah.
but it's all right though. They had that huge move the other day. Honestly, I'm not too worried about this one going down right now. They always go up off these huge catalysts and then end up like consolidating for like, a month or a couple months until they have another big catalyst. But we'll have to see how they can start going here, now that they're allowed to take people into space. Just, don't be surprised. You might start seeing stuff in the news where, people taking pictures, videos in space with them. And, I'm sure you're going to see some awesome videos and stuff coming out. And, whenever that stuff happens, that's when I think you're going to see SPCE start to fly back up again. I think that the big move from this last news might already be over, and we're just kind of awaiting now the next catalyst or just the next step in their type of journey that they're on.
Gotcha. What do you think about Home Depot? I know that they were going crazy over the past couple months. Like ever since March, they went from 250 all the way up to basically 350, all the way down to 300, and now they're trending back up to like 320.
Yeah, it looks like they're kind of like rotating back to the upside. They're getting right up to that resistance, like you said, around 320. I think that that's going to be a big level for them in the short term, but I really like Home Depot for the long run. I think that they'll be great. In the shorter term, though, they're just kind of in the middle of the range. I do like the way they're moving up, though. It looks like we could see a decent recovery, especially if we start to break out above like that 320 to 321 level area. I think that we'll start to see a pretty big move, but I really like the stock overall. And whenever I go look at it on an intraday level, it definitely has a lot of momentum today so far. This stock is not the best for like, doing like quick day trades or anything like that on, but it's pretty solid for some good swings every once in a while. And I think if we start to break out, we could see a pretty good opportunity.
Alrighty, and then we have Matthew asking about gold. So GLD is getting smacked, Tom, down around 1.5%. Looks pretty bad, honestly. It's just selling off. It's been struggling for the past couple weeks. Tom, do you have any like supports for us or anything?
Man, this 100 SMA is huge on GLD. I don't know why, but it consolidated there on the daily chart for like, five or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days before it just failed to break out there. Ended up falling right off to the downside here. There's a pretty big support on GLD down here around 157 to 160 on the stock. And I think that that'll end up being a pretty good support. But with this type of movement that we're seeing right now, it definitely is not the best movement, for a bullish candidate or anything like that. We might fall through support or something. I have no idea, especially like with the inflation moving the way it is, with the market just flying up and not really caring. So who knows? It just depends. I think how this like inflation ends up being perceived. But with Powell kind of talking about inflation and really like making it seem not as bad as it could be and stuff like that. I think that that's really making gold move to the downside. People were buying gold up a lot in anticipation of that inflation making the markets kind of go down, but the markets keep hitting all-time highs and gold just keeps selling off. So it's actually making a little bit of sense to me. For a while gold was going up with the market. So right now at least it's moving opposite, like it's like it should be doing.
And I also notice it's kind of moving inverse to the dollar index. If you do $ DXY, anytime we see this pop up, gold has some selling pressure come in. So I'm sure that's definitely playing a role too.
Oh yeah, big time.
All right, cool. Then we have Keisha saying, I've been in KMX since before earnings and it's still going. KMX, it is popping up, and she said that she's been in before earnings. That's awesome. You're probably up a good amount on this one. It is rallying, and I don't see a resistance until like 135.
Yeah, I don't either. This actually is like a pretty good setup, and used cars are on fire right now. You can see, look at their EPS going from 1.27 all the way up to 2.63. Almost, that is actually they I think they doubled it right there. So pretty good move actually out of KMX there with that earnings report, and I could see this continuing. Like I said, the used car market is on fire. I know me and Mike have talked about it just as like jokes over like the past couple weeks, but yeah, the used car market for some reason is really just on fire. And cars that were costing like 25,000 used or 20,000 used now are like going for like 30,000 to 35,000 used. Not saying that they appreciated in value, but like anyone coming into the market right now, definitely a lot higher prices than there was before. But I wanted to go check out that dollar index one more time because I actually forgot I had this posted on the daily chart here. But look at this key trend line on the daily chart with the dollar. And, I saw this on investing.com in an article, so I'm going to give credit where credit's due because I stole it from them. But it looks pretty good. This bottom trend line looks very solid, moving very well off of this. And, it's moving actually right off of it. It's not even coming down to the bottom of the support. It's actually hitting on the trend and moving solidly back up. And, a lot of people like while President Trump was in there and everything, keep in mind he was kind of wanting the dollar to move to the downside, which it ended up doing. It didn't really break out or do too much. And while Obama was in office, I'm going to go to 2013, 2014, 2015. You can see how the dollar really started to uptrend, and they say that like Joe Biden is going to try to make the dollar uptrend once again, which will make GLD go down. But the good news is that if the dollar goes up, that could help the market. But they say it really helps, or it makes the United States lose in negotiating power with other countries. But it just, it depends on who you talk to on the matter.
Gotcha. And then we have Corbin saying, when do you cut your losses? So this is a good question. I really just stick to the just the charts in general. When you stare at charts every single day for the past 5 or 6 years, like you start to like see patterns and see things that you just like you have a feeling, but at the same time, we'll never get a lot. We'll never like let a loss get out of hand. So it ultimately depends on the setup. Other things that we use to help is, unusual options activity, support and resistance, just momentum in general, market sentiment, volume, and just like seeing how the stock's moving. Like I said, though, like when you just stare at charts every single day, for hours each day, for years and years, like you just start to like get a sense of how things move and, when to cut losses. So hopefully that helps you. Then we have Keisha saying just locked in 300% on FSLR. Do you think it has more room to run? FSLR, I would say so. Like over the next couple months or so, I would definitely say so. They do have a little bit of resistance right at like 95, and then you can even say like 97.
Yeah, they're actually killing it on the daily, looking like a pretty solid breakout here. Like you said, they are getting close to those resistances, especially the one at 95. So be a little careful with that, but it does look like a pretty solid setup. And I would think that if all these other growth stocks keep popping up, kind of like what we've been seeing, then FSLR will end up going up with it. And I loved FSLR whenever it was down here at the bottom, but right now it's just getting up to that upper end of the range, and it's just becoming less and less attractive the higher it goes.
All right. And then let's see. We have Jerry saying, did you guys hear about the new Delta COVID variation? I have. I mean, there's so much news going on with, everything COVID, so I really didn't look too much into it, but I've definitely been hearing about it on the news.
Yeah, I've been hearing about it a lot too, and that could have a pretty big impact on the overall economy. It obviously, like if we start shutting things down again, but one thing to keep in mind is that at this point with everything opening up, I have a feeling like even if the government tried to shut things down again, like people just would totally like just not listen at this point or something. So, just keep in mind like the Delta variant, it could be bad if it starts to get rampant, but we've seen a few different variants. We've seen the UK variant, the variant from Africa, and now we have this Delta variant. So, they've been talking about variants like left and right, and I think it just depends on, if the vaccine will vaccinate you, I guess, against the variant or, protect you against it, then I think it'll end up being okay. But it just depends, immensely on so many different factors right now. And one thing to just keep in mind, like I said, there's been a few other variants come out and it hasn't really affected too much. So just that's what I'm looking at more of than anything.
Alrighty. And then let's see. We have Corbin saying, what are your thoughts on Disney? So I love Disney. For the premium play we have in the Discord, that has so much time. I'm not worried about that at all. But I love the setup for like a short, very short term outlook. It has support at 175, but that play is more of like an investment than a trade. Another support at 170, and then after that, another support at 160. So those are the main levels I'm watching, and then that resistance right at 180.
Yeah, what was the ticker, Mike?
Disney.
Oh, Disney. Yeah, Disney's awesome. I love Disney. And that, like you said, that big resistance at 180, I think is going to be the main thing to look for in the short term. One thing to keep in mind with Disney is that they've been pretty solid, and I think that they will do good in the longer term, but in the shorter term, who knows? Everyone's transferring into these like growth stocks and stuff like that. So Disney might get hurt in the shorter term with a lot of those stocks going down, but I think it looks great, and it'll just take, I think, one big catalyst for Disney. Like we'll see something big with Disney Plus, or something like with their parks generating more revenue, or something like that. I think will be the main factor with them.
Yeah, for sure. Like, especially on like those longer term plays, I really don't like to just like, look at it like every day. Like, of course, it's important to monitor it, but I also don't think it's too good to like watch every single little detail and every single short term support and resistance, especially when it comes to longer term expirations, because sometimes it's just best to like hold on to a certain play and let it do its thing. Like I was watching Zoom. I know that we have officially got an entry on like May 13th or so, but I was watching it since mid-April, and it fell a good amount before it rose. So either way, I'm not worried about it, but I think it's a pretty awesome setup for the long term. We have Vicky saying resistance for AMD after 88, please. Let's check it out. So Tom, what are you seeing after 88?
Yeah, after 88, well, actually, I see right around like, 89 to 90, I think is going to be a pretty big level for it on an intraday level. Let me go out to a 90-day, 15-minute really quick and just kind of go back to the last time we were up there. Yeah, I would say actually 90 is going to be a key resistance. That was like right where we hit that last time we were around here. So definitely looking for 90, and we did kind of get close to that, but it looks like we are stair stepping up pretty nicely with AMD. I would almost look for it to move kind of like how it has the past couple days, how it flies up at open and then goes flat for the rest of the day. I would almost look for it to do something like that again.
Righty, and then let's see. We have Vicky also asking about Ford. What are you thinking with this one?
Ford F. Let's go check out Ford. I know that they were moving very well for a few weeks, but right now it's pulling back pretty hard. And with everybody, keep in mind that this was going up like while a lot of those growth stocks and stuff like that were going down. So while people are like rotating out, I think that Ford will start to go down. And they had a ton of hype the past year. Their stock, from the at least from the COVID lows, a couple years at least, it moved from around $4 all the way up to $16. That's 400% out of a stock like Ford, and people never would have thought that out of a stock like this. They would have thought that NIO or Tesla or something, but no one would have ever thought 400% out of Ford. And I just think that it looks like we're kind of getting lower highs right now on the daily, and we could definitely start to come back down and maybe come down to these supports around like $12, or maybe around like 11.
Alrighty, and then we have T asking about QS. So I was actually going to bring this one up, and it was running a lot this morning. I don't like the company for the long term, but I do like them for short term trading. Sometimes they have they provide a ton of great potential for like day trading and scalping opportunities. Right now, I think that they're pulling back a little bit right now, so it's not quite the best time. But with the way they've been trending over the past couple days, I think we will see some opportunity soon.
Yeah, I think so too. This definitely has a lot of potential, and it's been moving down here around support for quite a while. So I would think the QS or QuantumScape could start to get back up soon. They had that pretty big rejection today at 32.35, so I'll definitely keep my eyes on that. But yeah, that was actually a pretty big rejection today. So I'm gonna be curious to see on how much more this stock ends up moving to the downside. If it keeps going down too much, it might consolidate for a little while longer before breaking out.
All right, sounds good. And then we have James saying Clove back below 13. What are your thoughts? SPCE getting beaten down. What are you thinking with Clove?
Yes, Clove it was moving decent earlier this morning, and it's pulling back now. We saw this with AMC and a couple others that were running early on. They were looking really good, but just pulled back almost all the way back down to their lows. So I don't know what to think about CLOV. It's definitely not my favorite setup, but I think it's moving decently, especially off the 1280 support. Kind of held its ground right here. Personally, I would think it might start to recover back up on an intraday level, especially being around the supports, like I said. But personally, I think it could go either way. It's not my favorite setup, but I think it could definitely recover.
Alrighty. Give me 1 second, Tom.
Yeah, no problem. Let's go check out that SPY again, see how that's going today. I know we were all-time highs earlier. It looks like we're pulling back a little bit right now. The QQQ is also pulling back quite a bit. I wonder how the DIA is doing, if it's starting to pop up. And, the DIA is actually catching a little bit of upwards momentum. So seems like the Dow is actually coming back around a little bit. Let's see. We have Triple M kind of popping up today, looking pretty decent. The 1-year daily looks pretty good, actually. They're hitting that 100 SMA coming up. It looks like they could start to maybe come up to this like $200 resistance. We're a few points away from that one. And just a few of these other Dow stocks, like KO, for example, is starting to catch a lot of, green consolidation days here around this 54 support. And it's just, we're seeing a lot of these like value stocks sitting right around their like supports and stuff like that. So we might start to see a little pop, or we're going to see a big breakdown to the downside through those. But it seems like there's definitely some consolidation on a lot of these value stocks.
All right, then we have Kathy saying Microsoft has not been able to get above 270. Do you think it needs to go above? Do you think it needs to go above to run again? Yes, that's a pretty big resistance. Yeah, I think it would definitely have to break that to see a nice run. There will probably be a lot of sellers at that level. And it has been running for a couple weeks now, and it's been on a tear. 270 will be pretty strong, and it'll probably be pretty hard to break above that. We have Hunter saying Tesla at the low of day. Tom, how's that one doing?
Yeah, it's actually at the low of day, but it's bouncing off of my this is like a long-term trend line, I should say, I guess. I was going to say support, but it's a trend line. You can look here on the daily how this trend line's been hit quite a few times. And, as long as we can like stay above this and maybe bounce off of it, I like how we're actually catching a green candle right off of that and off of that 676 support area. Looks pretty good, actually. And I think that as long as we start to recover up, it'll look decent. But yeah, Tesla started to really sell off today, and seems like we're not going to test that $700 level, at least right now. We might test it later on, but for right now, it seems like Tesla's definitely pulling back or consolidating a little bit. Hopefully, like I said, it can hold these areas, or else, we might start to see it kind of move back or consolidate down, maybe back down towards that, 600-ish, or maybe like 630-ish like resistance areas. I think that we might start to see some good movement towards that, but it just depends like what we end up seeing in the short term. Just depends, I think, if we can hold that trend, kind of like I said. But Tesla's been pretty hot lately, Mike. I mean, lots of people have been looking at it and liking it, and them and NIO have been moving pretty well, but seems like NIO is moving slightly better today.
Alrighty, and then we have Bravo saying, hey guys, good morning. GLD is tanking. Is it because of the US dollar? Yeah, so we covered this one probably like 10 minutes ago. But yeah, it appears so. The dollar index is rising and GLD is just getting smacked. Carlos says, thanks guys, have a great day. See you guys the video tonight. So thanks for joining, Carlos. Let's see. James, they're trying to get SPCE below 50. How low can it go below 50? Let's see. SPCE. Let's check it out. SPCE, yeah, it's getting smacked right now. I don't know. $50 is a pretty strong support. The next one is right at, you could say like 46, or even like, no, it's basically at 50. So yeah, like the next one's at 46. So, it can definitely get to like right around that area.
Yeah, and who knows? This could start to really sell off. I mean, SPCE's been moving down quite a bit here. I like that $46 level. I think that's pretty decent. So definitely look out for that in the next couple days. But, definitely I think in the longer run, they might start to pop again the next time they have a big catalyst. But in the shorter term, we're definitely just going to have to keep our eyes on it and see how it ends up moving, because they're so volatile that, they went up so much the past few days that they might just, like this pullback today, 9%, they're still up a lot from that like $40 level that they were at before the main pop. So there's still a lot of movement to go, I think.
All right, we have Bravo saying TAN. We got the solar ETF coming in. It's doing pretty good. It's been trending up pretty well, bouncing off that support at 70, and we're getting pretty close to 100 again.
Yeah, for sure. And what was the ticker?
TAN.
TAN. I keep mishearing you, but yeah, it looks pretty good actually, and I like how it's moving. Like you said, on the daily, like towards those resistances, it's getting really close. I would say that there's a pretty solid one, yeah, right around like 95, maybe like $94. But anywhere between like 90 and 95 seems like a pretty big resistance area, I think, Mike. There's a few different areas between there.
All right, Tom. Well, do you have any last minute stocks or anything you're watching for the rest of the day?
Man, still looking at all those tech stocks. We got the QQQ. I mean, it's not flying up anymore, but it was earlier this morning. It was looking pretty decent. We had like Apple and stuff going up earlier, kind of consolidating a little bit right now. Who knows? Maybe maybe it will continue up later on in the day. Seems like right now though we are kind of consolidating with Apple. I'm definitely going to be looking at stocks like 3M though, possibly back to the upside here over the next couple of days. Whenever I look at them on the daily, they're just kind of hitting off supports and posting a few green days. So maybe that can continue up like over the next couple of days, and we might retest that $200 resistance area. But overall today, we just saw a lot of stocks go up, and then now they're all starting to pull back intraday. And we were seeing the growth stocks start to really move up, like Palantir, Zoom, and some of the others. And it seems like that they just went up so drastically and just went, had so many green days in a row that now we're just starting to see some consolidation or a little bit of pullbacks going on. So just don't be surprised, like I said, if you see a lot of pullbacks or a lot of stocks start to go down over the next couple days. But just keep in mind it's just going to be a little bit of a pullback area, and then over the next like week or 2 weeks we might see more breakouts start to happen.
Sounds good. Well, thank you guys so much for joining the stream and asking great questions. We had a great time this morning. So thank you guys for joining, and we hope you have an amazing rest of your day.